Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
Welcome back to Bayou Time. I'm Jacob D8, and I'm now joined here by Police Chief Travis Terrio. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me today.
All right, we have I guess, an interesting event that took place. Luckily, nobody was home or nobody was hurt in a vehicle that ran through a house. Can you tell us a little bit what happened?
So yesterday, shortly right after 4 p.m., our officers responded to number 7 Mary Hughes, which is on the east side of Houma, reference to a traffic accident where a vehicle had struck a house. Whenever they got there, they realized that it was a FedEx large delivery box truck that had actually struck the home. They quickly checked, make sure that no one was injured. Luckily, nobody was injured. But then as the investigation went on, they also realized that the driver of the vehicle was actually under the influence. So they administered a field sobriety test, which he failed. And when he was taken into custody, in his possession, he had marijuana. He had a large quantity of Schedule 4 narcotics pills. And he also had a bottle of alcohol that was open. That is apparent that he was consuming it throughout the day at some point. They went ahead and they transported him back to the Houma Police Department. However, prior to transporting, he had actually resisted the officers refusing commands to get into the vehicle. But without further incident, he was placed in the vehicle and, like I said, transported back to Houma PD. Whenever they got there, they offered him the breathalyzer to determine what his level of intoxication was, and he actually refused it. And a search warrant was obtained for him, and blood was drawn at a local medical facility, and that blood will be tested at a later date for the level of.
I see. But he did have, I guess, the trifecta on him. He had, alcohol, drug, narcotics, and marijuana as well. All three of them.
Yeah, and look, normally, actually, historically, your drivers with the commercial driver's license, they're usually the more responsible drivers. You're a better driver. They have more training. They know what's at stake. And, for somebody to be operating a commercial vehicle in a period under the influence, but much less in a residential area, it's pretty scary.
Yeah, it is scary. In a large vehicle at that, traveling, it's lucky that this was the only property damage you're talking about, not the loss of a life or worse.
We're very lucky. The house was actually occupied by some children and the mother of the children at the time, and they had actually just left from location where that vehicle struck the home to go to another part of the house. So thank God they, for whatever reason, had
definitely a scary event. And like I said, thankfully they're not physically hurt, but that's something that you mentally, I'm sure that's gonna not leave them.
We've had several close calls this week. We had a 7-year-old child that was shot earlier this week. Our investigators are still working on that, and now we have this event. This right before the holidays, and this family was just getting back in their home from Hurricane Ida. So. Luckily, everybody's going to survive everything that happened this week, but this week was pretty eventful in Houma.
Yeah, and we have a holiday weekend coming up. You have Good Friday and Easter. Of course, that creates a lot of opportunities for get-togethers and a lot of getting together with family. Appreciating your loved ones, but then you also have. Sometimes people like to have a good time, which is certainly okay as long as it's done responsibly, and it's a good time to remember that bad things can happen if you get behind the wheel after having a few.
Yeah, yeah. With holidays brings, visiting and with family and friends, but it always brings alcohol, and we always have something. We just ask that people not drink and drive. We're going to have officers out. There's going to be extra patrols out, so they need to adhere to don't drink and drive. If you're going to drink, don't drive. Have a designated driver.
All right. Let me ask you. Now with marijuana being, they have some exceptions for medical use of marijuana. Is that something? And then you also have things that are questionably legal that are sold at over the counter. Mm-hmm. Have you found any increase in incidents with people getting behind the wheel with that? With partaking in marijuana and the effects of that? And
so, just because you're going to legalize marijuana doesn't mean that you're going to be able to drive under the influence of it. I haven't observed that we've had any increase in DWIs or the DWI fatalities. And that question probably be better posed to state police. They probably have a little more information because they have more a much broader area that they monitor. But personally, I haven't noticed the increase.
Yeah, but I guess it is a good thing to remind people out there that, just because it may be legal, it doesn't mean you can get behind the
That's
wheel.
right.
And
Yeah.
It does have that negative effect that can happen.
Yeah.
And I guess whether it's legal or not, it's always been out there, so it may not been increased too much.
Right. So, if people were going to drive under the influence, they were going to drive then, they're going to drive now. We have to find a way to get people to change their mindset, and if you have an alcohol problem, get some help. If you know somebody with a problem, help them get some help.
Definitely. Well, we thank you for coming on and giving us an update. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Stay tuned for more right here on HTV.